Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. If you guys love Halloween inspired or Halloween themed makeup as much as I do, then this video is definitely for you. So I ordered the Makeup Revolution Forever Flawless Into the Night palette, which you'll see in a minute here if you stick around. It is full of a ton of gorgeous cool tones. I really think they did a great job on the overall theme of the palette. And look at this packaging. I mean, it is just absolutely adorable. So, while we review this beautiful Into the Night palette, our topic of the day and for the month of October is going to be a trick or treat regarding finances or insurance. So if you guys are interested in learning a couple of quick tips regarding finances and insurance while we review this beautiful Into the Night palette from Makeup Revolution, then definitely hit the notification bell, the like button, and let's get started right now. Now this palette has 18 different shades with a mirror, and they are all cool tones. So let me give you guys an up-close look. We'll be doing swatches, a wear test, and a demo today. Okay, so I've got you guys zoomed in. I don't have any makeup on right now except for my brows and the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer. So for this color story, I mean, I'm honestly loving all of them, but I think what's calling to me are these cooler brown shades as well as the purple and this brighter pink up top. So to get started, I think what I'm going to do is a halo eye. So let's get started with this shade Midnight right here. And I'm going to start by applying that to the outer and inner portion of my eyes. So for application today, I'm going to be using the ColourPop Stone Cold Fox collection. The first brush I'm going to go in with is the ColourPop E27 brush, which is kind of like a packer brush. So let's dip in, and this shade is called Midnight. So it's a deeper brown. There is quite a bit of kickback with these shades, just so that way you know. I find kickback to be pretty common with Makeup Revolution and all the other Revolution eyeshadows, so I'm not really that worried about it. So I'm just going to start packing this on the outer corner. Now I will show you guys swatches in just a minute here, but the one thing I do just want to point out really quickly is there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matte shades, and the rest are all shimmers, and there is a pressed glitter in here, which is the shade Vamp. But all of these shades are kind of sheer. Granted, I'm using synthetic brushes, so I know it won't go on quite as heavy, but they are a little bit more sheer. So I am going to be packing this on a little bit more than I had to do with, say, the Jolie Beauty palette that I just reviewed, which I'll link right up here if you missed that. If you love cool tone palettes, oh my gosh, that one is my new favorite. Okay, pack this onto the inner corner. So this first Midnight shade, I'm going to go up close so you guys can really see it. It's really beautiful. It has almost like a pink or a magenta shimmer inside of the brown. So it's a very beautiful shade. But like I mentioned, it is a little bit more sheer than I would like. So right off the bat, at least with this first shade, if you're in a hurry, I don't know that this would be the best palette to use. But let's see, we've only dipped into one shade so far. Okay, so next, just to blend this out along the crease, I'd like to go in with the shade Eerie, which is this lighter, it's almost like a periwinkle, but it has a gray finish to it. And I'm going to use the ColourPop E23 brush, which is a fluffy blending brush. So let's dip into the shade Eerie. And I'm just going to use this to kind of smoke out the crease a little bit. Okay, so that blended out surprisingly quick, that Eerie shade. So maybe it's just the Midnight shade that needs a little bit more time. So next, to finish off the halo eye, I'd like to go into the shade that is called Lurking right here, which is kind of like a more bright, neutral, kind of gold shimmery shade. And I'm just going to use what am I going to use? You know what, let me just use my finger to get started for the inner portion. Ooh, this shade is so pretty. So this is what it looks like on my finger. Oh yeah, I really like this lurking shade. It's really pretty. And I always take all of my shades above where my natural crease is, just because I have slightly hooded eyes, so it gives the appearance of a bigger eye. This is almost like a metallic shade too. It's very, very pigmented, I would say, for the lurking shade. So I'm just going to wet my brush and keep using this lurking shade. And I'm going to use the e.l.f. Plus Glow Dewy Mist. So I really want to get this shade to pop. So let's give this a little bit of a spray. There we go. Oh yeah, that made a big difference, giving that shade a little bit of a spritz. Okay, next I'm going to use the ColourPop E30 flat liner brush, and I'm going to dip into the black matte shade right here, which is called Gothic, and I'm just going to use this shade to line the upper lash line as close to the lashes as I can. I don't know if I showed you guys, but on a couple of the shades, they actually have a bat imprint in them. Like in these two shades right here, and this one up here. It might be kind of hard to see on camera, but that little black imprint of Batman is super cool. I really like it. So this black Gothic shade is actually pretty pigmented. I'd say it's the most pigmented shade, which is great because matte blacks are typically a little bit harder to formulate, especially in more affordable makeup. So I think they did a great job on this black. Okay, so next I'm going to use the ColourPop E28 brush, and I'm still sticking with the black Gothic shade, and I'm just going to use this brush to smoke out the black a little bit. I guess the one thing I was expecting with this palette, just because it is a more affordable palette, I was kind of expecting the shades to pick up on each other, and it's not doing that so far. Some of the shades are more pigmented than others, but they're all very buttery and they're blending very smooth. Next brush, ColourPop E24. With the ColourPop E24, I'm going to dip into the shade Ghost, which is a shimmery white shade. Ooh, that one's pigmented. Wow. Okay, changed my mind. Let me get another brush here. So because that brow bone highlight is bam, like really in your face, I'm going to use the Sonia Kashuk brush and just use that to diffuse that a little bit. I wasn't expecting this shade to be as pigmented just because of the other shades, but wow, be careful. Okay, I'm going to finish the other eye and I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, so I just finished most of my base products, so let's finish up with the lower lash line. I totally forgot to put on my cat ears, which I typically do at the beginning. So I'm thinking because I did more of the grungier shades towards the bottom on my top portion of my eyes, for the lower lash line, I'm thinking let's dip into some of these brighter colors. So I'm going to smoke out the shade Suspense, which is this pink shimmer shade. And then closer to the lash line, I'm going to use this shade right here, which is called Mystery, and just keep that right at the lash line itself. Okay, I'm going to use my Shop Miss A number 111 brush. This is the perfect contour and lower lash line brush. So let me dip into this pink shade right here. You guys, I think I mentioned in my last video, but I'm still getting over being pretty sick. So if my voice goes out and it's a little bit raspy, oh, bless you. My daughter just sneezed too. We all had that back to school sickness and it was pretty rough, so sorry about my voice if that bothers you. I really didn't think that this pink shade would show up, but I'll zoom you guys in a second and you can see. Okay, so next I'm going to lightly dip into this Mystery shade right here and keep that right at the lower lash line. I really like that purple. I mean, who doesn't love purple eyeshadow, really? And I'm taking it about 2/3 of the way in, and then just kind of smoking out the rest, whatever's left on the inside. Okay, so I already know what I'd like to use for the inner corner highlight, and that is this Ghost shade. I mean, even just looking through the camera, it looks this blinding in person. So I'm going to use that same Sonia brush and apply that to the inner corner and pack it on. Yeah, this Ghost shade is so intense. When I zoom you guys in, you'll see I haven't even sprayed my brush, and it's like blinding. I am in love with this inner corner highlight shade. It's so bright. Okay, you guys, I'm just going to put mascara on and finish up my lips and all of that, and then I will give you guys a close-up of what this Makeup Revolution palette looks like. Be right back. Okay, you guys, so I just finished up the rest of my makeup, so I wanted to give you a close-up of what this Makeup Revolution Into the Night palette looks like close-up. So here you go. So kind of like a smoky semi-halo eye on the top. And I really like that purple and pink smoked out underneath. So far, I'd say it's looking pretty good. Alright, next let's cut into swatches and then the topic of the day. Okay, you guys, so as much as I would love to swatch all 18 shades, I just don't have the time to do that. So what I thought I would do is just do a couple of live swatches. So first, let's start off with this Ghost shade, which is that blinding shade you'll see in a second if you haven't seen it already, that I have on the inner corner. So I'm just going to do one pass at the swatch. So this is what that shade looks like. Now, it's a little bit more difficult on camera to really pick up how blinding it is, but I can assure you it is very blinding. Okay, so the next shade I'd like to swatch for you is this Vamp shade. Now, they do call this shade a pressed glitter, but I have to disagree. I mean, it may be a pressed glitter, but I find as you are swatching this shade, it's almost more of almost like a shimmery shade that has glitter in it. So if you've ever felt the texture difference between a pressed glitter versus a shimmer or just a shade that has glitter in it, that's what I would say. So can you see here? So that is that one glitter shade called Vamp. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely gorgeous, but it's not necessarily a super popping glitter, and you definitely wouldn't need any glitter glue for that shade. Okay, the next shade I'm going to swatch for you guys is the Black Matte called Gothic. Now, I was pretty surprised how pigmented this shade is. So just take a look at my finger. Can you see how pigmented that black shade is? So that's the one inconsistency I would say with this palette, is not all the shades are as pigmented as the rest. Because I should have swatched this a little bit more up. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm a little bit new at swatching. So this is that black. So it does have very good pigmentation. I did the swatch a little bit lower, so the top has more pigment down here, but yeah, very, very nice black matte shade. Okay, so the last shade I'm going to swatch for you guys is what I use for the halo look, which is this Lurking shade right here. Now this does have a lot of pop for just a shimmer. I mean, I would say it's almost more of a metallic. So this is called Lurking, which is on my pinky. So see how much more metallic that shade is than the glitter shade right here? So here is that shade, Lurking. And again, I only dipped in one time because I wanted you guys to see just how they are with one go. Okay, so hopefully those couple of swatches are helpful for you guys. Next, let's cut into the topic of the day right now. God. Hi everybody, hopefully those swatches were helpful for you, and welcome to the topic of the day. So for today's trick or treat, I would say this goes more along the lines of a trick, and what I wanted to quickly discuss today is what is the major difference between a 401k and an IRA. So I get this question pretty frequently, which is why I wanted to address it today. So the main difference between a 401k and an IRA is that a 401k is employee sponsored. An IRA is not. Now, to be clear, that does not mean that you didn't start with a 401k and roll that account into your own IRA, but an IRA is not an employer-sponsored account at that point. Now, the one thing I do want to point out about a 401k is that 401ks with employer-sponsored plans, they can be traditional or Roth accounts. So they can be pre-tax dollars or after-tax dollars, but they typically are pre-tax dollars, meaning you don't pay any taxes until you withdraw from the funds much later in life. So the main difference is that a 401k is an account that you typically contribute to as well as your employer, some do and some don't, while you are working. Whereas an IRA is an account that you typically move into another account after you're done working at that employer. So definitely comment monetary makeup down below and let me know if this is making sense so far and if you guys have any questions for me. So that is the quick trick for today. Next, let's cut into the wear test. Hi everybody, so this Makeup Revolution Into the Night Forever Flawless palette has been on now for about 7 hours. Not quite as long as a wear test as I typically do, but hopefully this will still be helpful for you guys. So let me zoom in a little bit closer so you guys can see close up. So it does look like the eyeshadow creased just a little bit, which is actually pretty rare for me, especially when I use the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer. So you might experience just a little bit of creasing throughout the day. I really didn't notice any creasing up until about the last, I don't know, half hour or so. So up until then, I think everything is looking great. Now my final thoughts for this palette is, first off, the packaging. I think they really killed it with Batman. I mean, I just am in love with this palette itself. And the color story. You guys know I love cool tones, and I am obsessed with all of these colors. And what I really like about the color story is they did give you a couple pops of color, such as a shimmery pink or this dark purple. Man, I told you guys I'm still getting over being sick, so I'm so sorry my voice sounds so raspy right now. So hopefully you guys can make it through till then. But anyways, overall, I think the quality of this palette is okay. Do I think it's worth the money? I think if you are a lover of cool tones and you just really like having themed makeup like I do, then yes, it would be worth it. Now, it's not that the formula is terrible, but you guys know, you really never hear me say it's good for the price. I either think that a product is good or it's not. And it's kind of hovering the mediocre. So it wasn't super expensive. I think it was $18 or something like that. So the quality, as I said, it's mediocre, it's okay, and it did get the job done, and I really do love the color story. So overall, if you love Batman and cool tones, then yes, I would recommend picking it up. If the color story really isn't something that you're interested in, then I would say go ahead and skip it and pick up the Jolie Beauty Sorceress palette that I just reviewed last week, I believe. I think I linked that earlier in the video, but I'll link it down below just in case I forget to do that. But that Sorceress palette, it gives you so many different cool tones, but they also give you a lot of different textures, pops of color, and the formula is absolutely amazing. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the topic of the day as well as this wear test and tutorial. Let me know what you guys think. Did any of you guys pick up this palette? I'm really curious what your guys' experience was, because I did notice some of the shades did perform better. Like that gold shimmery shade was beautiful, but the first shade I went in with was a little bit splotchy. So let me know, did you guys pick this up? Did you enjoy it? Okay, well, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I love you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!